Today we have our first female guest, Coach Maria Soccer.
I think it was the best moment for me.
To be able to succeed in soccer, you need that extra support.
I would go by myself to the game all the time. We always joke I could have called it Dolphin FC and would people still come? So as much as my mom says I was a miracle, I'm definitely a mistake. Isn't this this is the most competitive, I'm in it. I'm ready.
Yeah.
This is competitive. From 20 players, the phone kept ringing and ringing. And right away, Nike had approached me. We're over 200 players that do this supplementary.
We have way too many clubs, academies, circuses, whatever they call it.
I'm scared to open Twitter and read after a game. Why we don't have that, I'm not sure. We need a league and we need it soon. It isn't the best league. It's not the best talent. I always say I'm one of the best coaches in Canada, and I truly believe that.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're kind of all over the place in terms of who's on this call. Welcome to another episode of the Footy Forum, and we're excited for this one because, as you can see, another +1. And today we have our first female guest, Coach Maria Soccer. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
No worries, Mario
Sure.
Procopio. Is that right, Procopio, if I said that right?
Yeah.
So pretty,
Yeah, you got it right.
I like the surname. It's got a prick to it. Do you know what I mean? It's got a sharpness to it. I like that.
I know if there's a scammer that's calling me if they can't pronounce my last name. So I know it's someone that doesn't know me. So
there you go.
Well, yeah. Where's the background of the name? I'm guessing Italian, but if it's not
Italian, but you know what? I get a lot of Greek. A lot of people from Greece reaching out, maybe some part of Greece, but I'm from a little part in Italy, and there's only 2 last names, so it's either a Procopio or a Crappy. So it's a very, very small town. So yeah.
Nice.
I think you got the better of the two.
Yeah,
in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you
So
can
let's
really
get into
debate
it.
that. Yeah, let's go straight into it. So as we always do on these episodes, just going to break into some icebreaker questions. So yeah, we'll go straight into it. So Maria, we always ask you, sorry to be a bit intrusive, how old are you?
I am 31 now. I just turned 31 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Well, happy birthday. 31 years young. We love to see that. Right. So football-wise, soccer-wise, are you a fan? Who do you support?
So I love all teams, but it's only one team I'll pick them every time the Champions League happens, and it's Juventus. It's in my blood. Everybody in my family supports it, except for my dad and a couple other people, but I would say 99% of us support Juve.
So do you follow Serie A then a bit?
Yeah, I do. I had the pleasure of working at Juventus and with Juventus for a while, so it's a dream job. And
Wow.
I follow it pretty thoroughly. And they're my team, and I think they're going to win Champions League. I say it every year though. So
Yeah, strong side, definitely up there. Wait, because we did a Champions League review recently on our episode. Did we have Juventus winning the round of 16, Jovan?
We
Or was it
did.
2-2? Or
Could have been a 2-2. For me, Juventus. Obviously, you have to rate them. But every time they seem to find a way to get themselves eliminated. But no, you can't. I'm interested because you went against your dad's team, which is so. What was his team?
So he's Inter. So
Okay.
he's an Inter fan. But my grandfather was diehard Juve, only Juve. And it's so weird because I like Juve, but my favorite player growing up, because I played sweeper, so center back, was Paolo Maldini. And it was a sin to talk about how much I loved him in the household, because he's only ever played for AC, and now his son and his dad did. But yeah, it's weird, but Juve always.
Love that. And then who would you say is your favorite inspiration when you look at a soccer player?
Yeah, so I
Growing
guess
up or now?
obviously, yeah. Growing up, on the female side, Mia Hamm and Cara Lang, who's Canadian, unfortunately retired due to injuries young. But I remember reading it in the paper. At 15, she had made the women's national team, and it was unheard of that young in Canada. So I always looked up to her. And obviously Mia Hamm was such a big icon. And then on the men's side, probably anyone who played for Juve, but then the non-Juve guy obviously is Paolo Maldini.
Awesome. Okay, I have to ask another question. I've just thought of it. Give me your exact reaction, the exact moment you found out Ronaldo was coming to Juventus.
So it's funny because I was working for Juve at the time, and
Huge.
super happy that he came. But it was so many mixed reviews. Like I saw the business side of it before I saw the player. Now, like I'm in love with the player, but I wasn't happy because he did us so dirty when he scored that bicycle kick and eliminated us. But I saw the business side and said that's so smart, because when Juventus changed their logo and everything happened, I saw like they were going more like the business and trying to build a brand. So I knew right then, like getting him, we would make back his contract money in just t-shirt sales. And I think we did. So first reaction was, wow, good signing for business. And then now just fallen in love with him. Now I understand why people follow him team by team, because I'll still be a fan if he leads us, which I hope he doesn't. But yeah, I'll still be a fan. So yeah, definitely excited. And I know a lot of people here weren't excited who are Juve fans, but I think they have a soft spot for him.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny you talk about, teams growing their brands. A lot of teams are doing that now. Everton are trying to grow a brand, in the Premier League. Inter are rebranding, aren't they?
Yeah.
Inter Milano, aren't they? They're going to change their name, which was quite big news. So it's interesting how a lot of teams are doing that. And then we do have to ask, obviously, 2 English people on the podcast. So you follow the EPL?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I mean, what are your thoughts on this crazy topsy-turvy season, and who do you think is going to win it this year?
So I picked City pretty early.
Me and Jovan did as well.
Yeah, 3-0.
Yeah, so yeah, I picked City early. I did my qualifications in England. I loved, like when I was living there, I loved QPR. I mean, it was a cheap ticket. They were in the Prem, and they had this was 2014, 2015. So Ferdinand was there, Charlie Austin, and of course Julian Hoylett, Canadian. So
Yeah.
I would go by myself to the games, and there was these 3 seats in single seats behind the net, and I would sit there I go by myself all the time because it was cheap and affordable. So QPR was my team for forever. I always picked City. I had the pleasure to go and tour and work at City for a little bit last year. So I've just fallen in love with them as well. I'll never say they're my full team, but I picked them to win. And this season has been amazing. I mean, to see teams like Everton come up and be at the top of the table, and United finally. So it's nice to see it. Huge Spurs fan. I did my qualifications at White Hart Lane, so I've been following them, and then with Mourinho in the documentary. So it's been crazy.
2 Arsenal fans.
Are you a
here.
Spurs? No,
2 Arsenal
sorry, guys.
fans.
Oh,
Yeah.
Spurs.
Shouldn't have said that. Should have kept it to yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I obviously, being here in Canadian, you don't understand the rivalry, because in Canada here, if you guys know, you can go to a TFC game wearing a Montreal Impact jersey. No one's gonna say anything. And then when I was doing my UEFA in England, there was Arsenal fans and Spurs fans, and the Spurs guys would wear the shorts or pants, and we would go out after in the middle of to get lunch, and they'd be like, I have to go change. And I'm like, why do you have to go change? What do you mean you have to go change? And they weren't allowed to wear that stuff in certain parts of London. So
yeah.
I didn't understand it till I was there. So, but
Yeah.
I did my qualifications at White Hart Lane. So you can't get more pristine, and that's the old ground. So you can't get more pristine than that. So definitely that club when I was there, and never got to see them though. Sorry, guys.
You never got to see him. That's a blessing in disguise. You don't want to go and see him play.
Their new stadium is amazing. I haven't been there myself, but I've got a lot of friends that are Tottenham fans, and they just rave about it. It's just amazing, apparently, this new stadium. But yeah, it's been a nut season, because obviously when you watch the last season, post the hiatus, and it was a bit dull. There was something, that wasn't quite there. And there was even I brought it up on the podcast before, there was a stat that measures some sort of chemical that's in your body that's related to adrenaline. And they measured the levels in some Bundesliga players, and it was 70% lower than it was the season before when they were fans. And you could feel that on the pitch. There was less urgency. And this season I was a bit worried, but it's been nothing but entertaining. So you can't predict, a team will win a game against a tough team, then lose a game against an easy team. It's just impossible to guess how this season goes, really.
I know, and it's so nice to see that it's not the same teams, and there's upsets, and it's great. I mean, even Champions League, watching the EPL teams in there or Europa. It's been great. It's just so you can pick up so much more audio now as a coach and really enjoy it that way to hear what's happening now that there's no fans. But yeah, you just wonder from players. I've always wanted to ask a pro player, like, how do they like playing with no fans compared to fans, and their true kind of feelings towards playing in front of nobody.
Yeah, I can't see them, like, there's just something special about having the fans there. I think you can never replicate that match day experience as a player without the fans. It's like something I'm sure they've gotten used to this season, but I think it's definitely a factor as to why it's been so up and down, topsy-turvy. I think the fans help bring that, consistency. And you've seen Liverpool lose their home record now, lost 2 games at home for the first time since 2012, which is an insane statistic.
I didn't realize it was 2012. Really? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
It's nuts. And I have to get your input on one more thing. The boys know what I'm going to say. I personally am under the belief that there is more than a 0% chance that Sheffield United can still stay up this season. The boys aren't having it. I'm saying that I think 30 points could maybe get you safe this season. Again, they're saying mid-30s. I look at, there's 6 games that Sheffield United are playing. I look at them. Obviously, Fulham's one of them. There's a few others, teams kind of in the middle table that I think if they give it their all, they can win those games. They have to win at all of those games that I've identified, but I think they can hit the 30-point mark. And I don't like Newcastle this year. Burnley, who knows what sort of form they'll go on. I can see it getting close at the end. And I just think, I'm not saying they have a good chance. I'm just saying they have a very small outside chance. What's your opinion on it?
If it wasn't the season and with fans and stuff, I would have probably written them off to win 6 games. I don't know. I think I'm 50-50 on that. I know their games coming up, and like a Newcastle, like, I think will drop even lower than them. I think they're going to end up bottom. I don't know. I'm going to have to go with I'm sorry, Morgan. I'm probably going to have to go with the guys and say they're not going to pull off those 6. But it is, while you were saying that, like, while you were going on and talking, I was like, ooh, I could go both ways on this because I'm kind of on the fence, but I'll have to side with them. I don't think they'll pull off all 6.
Another member to the Sheffield United going down club. Welcome.
There's so many people joining
all
it.
All that is it's just a test of, whether it's just normal thinking or not. Obviously, Morgan doesn't have normal thinking. I don't know where he comes with 6 games either, because 6 games, they have 29 points. And 29 points will never get you safe. That won't keep you safe in the Serbian Superliga. So I don't know what he's thinking, but anyways, we can move on from that. That's for sure.
One last question before we dive into it. It is a non-football question, but we do like asking this one just out of interest. So, you got a call from Trudeau, and he's like, Maria, we've seen what you've been doing in the coaching world. Play the brand, you're crushing it. We want you as Prime Minister. What would be the first law you introduce?
First law I introduce: no parent coaches in football. Is that, can you do that? Is it not? But okay, not going football wise. I think just invest more in athletes and sport.
Definitely.
So that would be something
good.
Is that people would have to, big companies here would have to donate more to Olympians and athletes. But if I could go and be Prime Minister, I'd get rid of parents in sports here, because it's it's interesting here. I'm sure you guys are aware, and you've talked about it here, but it's nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done refereeing. I'm not a coach myself, but I've done refereeing at the very Sunday League amateur level. And some of these parents, I mean, like kids that are like 10 years old, effing and blinding. It's just insane. I mean, what example are you setting? But I think me and Yovan and Dan all agree that's probably the best answer we've had. Which is, Dan's answer was, what was it?
Don't go there, bro.
He said, I'd allow people to take things from stores.
Like that movie, The Purge. You have one night to do it.
Exactly.
Literally. He just said, like, I'll just let people rob things.
It's a good law, bro.
Not murder. I was like, oh, fair enough then. Yeah, sure. Robbery, that's fine. But yeah, that was shocking. So after that, we kind of debated actually keeping him on, but we did.
Yeah. So now if he ever gets into politics, kind of steer away. It's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Damn well, politics. Nowhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yovan, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So no, for sure. I mean, this is good to get the whole breaking the ice and whatnot. But let's get right into it. So obviously, coach from Canada, which is huge, and obviously, you know, someone who's done a massive job not only in Canada but also in Europe. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But let's go back towards, you know, how you got into to soccer, where you started playing soccer, and just the early days as a player, and you know, before all the coaching happened.
Yeah, so I am 10 months through 3 weeks younger than my brother. I've never found anyone, so this is a good platform because I always try to tell my story. If anyone's closer than 10 months, 3 weeks, send me a message, because my brother and I are literally like, he was born and then a month and a half later, my mom was pregnant with me again. So as much as my mom says I was a miracle, I'm definitely a mistake. But you know, having a brother that close to me, he's an 89, I'm a 90. So we moved from just outside of Toronto to a city called Vaughan, and he started playing soccer. So we literally grew up in Maple, which is across the street from the biggest amusement park in Canada, Canada's Wonderland. I mean, we used to go there.
Oh, you're right in Thornhill.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got family in
There.
Thornhill, so big up.
And we could like literally at school on lunch break, like walk over and ride a ride and then come back. And like after school, we would like leave and go. Like that's how close we were. So
You have the season pass.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a season pass
to
when
be
I was
done.
there for sure. And like no one had a swimming pool on our street because we would just hop over and go there on the rides. So yeah. So we moved there when I was 3. He started playing soccer. My dad was obviously, being Italian, I think obviously wanted to become a coach, and my grandfather would like help out and stuff. And he took on a team, and I would like wail if I wasn't allowed to go with them to practice or play. And I was like, maybe he was like 4 and I was maybe 3. So obviously they would drag me. They just gave me a jersey. I don't think I ever played 1 minute, but I would just go all the time. And then I started playing with boys and then got into it the next year and then played. So I grew up playing for one club, which is, I mean, I know in like coaching in Europe, you play for one club. It's one club. Here, it's not like that. You could see a 10-year-old who's played for 4 or 5 clubs within the span of, 4 or 5 years of playing the sport.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing for one club. We had 2 girls leave the whole time. So I think we were so good and we did so much throughout my career here because we were always together. And then a big moment in soccer for me at 13, I had made like the provincial team and made it through all the rounds. And I was the last player to get cut. And I got a note in the mail. Basically, they cut me. And I wanted feedback as to why I was cut. Like, I didn't understand why. I was playing sweeper, so center back. And I didn't understand it. I showed very well. And I called and I said, listen, just tell me like what it was. Cause I was thinking of leaving the sport. And they basically said, you're too short to be a center back. Like, you're not going to make it at a high level if you continue to play this. And I just basically said, like, that's it. Like, I don't want to play anymore. I just want to do it for fun. And I ended up in Italy on a trip. So I was just graduating elementary school. I was in Italy, just kind of playing, seeing family, and someone had found me there. Like, it was the president of a club and said, why don't you move here and play? So this was in 2003. So I waited till 2004, January. So I was just starting grade 9, freshman at school. And I said, Mom, like, what should I do? And she's like, go. So I left and moved there. This is like no Facebook, no Instagram, no nothing. Like, just went like calling cards style. And I just moved to this little city and was doing like online school, meaning I was playing soccer all day. And yeah, I spent a year there. I made it from like a 3rd division team, 2nd, 1st, and then into the U19 national program. And the only reason I came back from that is my mom came to visit me. She hadn't came to visit, and I saw her face and I said, like, I want to come home. So it was a great experience. And I came home for the rest of high school and then found myself on like a couple travel teams. Still playing with the same team I grew up with. We had won so many tournaments, so many different accomplishments, and then found myself on a travel team and got a scholarship from there, moved to the States, played there. Then like every athlete kind of got hurt and decided, but I was already hurt for so long, like through high school and battling so many injuries and coming back and then going to school. When I tore my ACL and my MCL, I kind of just said, like, I already knew I wanted to do something in soccer and stay in it. I knew I kind of wanted to go the coaching route. I was helping out coaching. I wasn't, I was like a volunteer. And then I decided to pack my bags and move to England. Being an Italian citizen, obviously I could work and live there, no problem. And then in 2014, packed my bags and moved to England. My dad was in England, so I was living in Peterborough, just outside. So I was passing Arsenal Stadium every day on my way to to class and stuff.
View.
But
did you catch Highbury? Was that the Emirates? Yeah, was that Highbury you were going
Emirates.
Emirates, yeah, Emirates
probably,
down. Yeah, on the train every day. And then he was there. So then I obviously moved into London because I just didn't want to do that commute anymore. But yeah, and then just started my coaching journey. But I knew here I wasn't going to be challenged on the coaching side. And I got my license, like one of my licenses here, pretty young. And I knew I was getting passed because I was a female. And I said, I don't want to do it here and be just passed through because I'm a female. I'm going to go to England. And when I showed up in England, they didn't care that I was a girl. They didn't care about that. Ian Hart was my tutor, who was a professional player, and he basically said, like, we don't care. You show up on time, and you just do what you want. And these guys, like some of the guys in our class were like ex-pro players, and you got to train and play with them every day. So not only was I playing every day in like the UEFA and all the courses, but you're learning from so many. And then I passed the UEFA and came back. But that's a little bit around it. Obviously, there's been so many hurdles in growing up being a female and not having opportunities compared to some of the guys I went to high school with who went on and played pro. But for my career and what I did to make a living and work and be able to buy a house and have a car and from soccer and be able to do this full time is a blessing.
Preach, yeah.
Sure.
Definitely.
I think we should take a step back, because the way I look at it is, even when you were 13, right? And I mean, we live like in Canada in a country where we're still learning every day in terms of how youth development should look. And unfortunately, we've made a lot of wrong decisions throughout the years. Hopefully things are looking better. And I want to know your thoughts right now on youth development in Canada, with things like in Ontario, the OPDL, which is the Ontario Player Development League, trying to be that, legitimate league for youth players here. And you obviously have, as you mentioned, where you have more clubs than players at some points in our areas. So what do you think, where are we right now in terms of, Canadian soccer development, and where can we improve going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough. Like when I came back, my first experience when I came back, I got a job with TFC right away. I was the first female coach within TFC. So I was in that academy setting, and it was a great transition for me coming back from England and kind of knowing that academy setting and what it was like there. And I had been out of the club system for so long here. I mean, it was a player. There was a little bit of politics, but not really when I was growing up. And then I left, came back, was in TFC, and then left TFC for so many reasons that we could probably, I could have a whole podcast about, but left there and then decided to start working in clubs. And it wasn't the same. There were so many leagues, there were so many clubs, academies, like anyone could open up an academy. So I found it hard to find the best of the best and find the best players, because when I was growing up, there was one league, the OYSL. You played in it. There was the top teams in all of Ontario. Then under that was like the CSL or Golden Horseshoe League. And then there was like the district, just kind of like
a clear hierarchy, basically.
Yeah. So you knew if you were like in the top league, you were like, it was basically like a category 1, like in England. So you knew if you were in there, that was the best of the best. And there wasn't any weak players. Like all the 18 starting 11 or bench players were the best. There was no really weak links, and there wasn't tryouts. You were getting like hundreds of kids. But now you're lucky to get a couple kids at tryouts, because there's so much. Like where I am now, like where I grew up in Vaughan. I mean, there's 8 category 1 franchises within 15 minutes of each other. So now you're fighting in 15 minutes of each other, 8 franchises. So I find it's so hard and watered down now, and they need to do a better job at finding the best and able to filter the players, because like the league you talked about in OPDL, I don't think it's the best players. I see players playing in lower leagues like a CSL or even a district that are better than in OPDL players. It's not to diss the program. It's just anyone who knows soccer, and parents who are listening to this know it isn't the best league. It's not the best talent. It's the best structure, and that's the only structure we have. So there's nothing to compare it against. So it's the only structure we have that is kind of looking like a professional stream, but it's nowhere near where it should be. And the worst decision, and any player who grew up playing in the OYSL could admit, is the worst decision getting rid of that league.
And I think also, mentioning that when you want to have the best talent all in one league, I think the prices of that league are way, way, way too much. And I think that's basically the reason why you see some really good players in academies or in, lower teams. And I mean, when you mentioned the whole 8 clubs that are whatever, category 1 like clubs, that's 7 too many in my opinion. So
definitely,
we can go on. But again, I want to move back, because I think, when you're 13, you obviously took a massive, massive risk, and you capitalized on a massive opportunity, which I think a lot of Canadians over the years have had to do, and it's paid off. And sometimes for you, I think it paid off in terms of the experiences you got are second to none. And tell us kind of what your thoughts were. Obviously, you touched on a little bit, but what were the emotions like going to a new country? Obviously, knowing the language probably helped, but just living in Europe is super different than Canada. So tell us a little bit about that and basically the adaptation period.
Yeah, no, it was great. Like I would have never thought, like I look now, it's so easy to like get a trial or have that experience. You can basically do like virtual trials or like see how it is, like Google Maps where you're going to live. But I basically saw where I was going to live and knew where of it. I never even visited the town, like just the area. It was just north of Pescara, which is about 2 hours from Rome. And I didn't know much about going there, but like just the culture was a huge difference. And like I always talk about to my players, like work with people. Like I always tell people, like, because I do recruiting now and I help players go over, work with someone who has lived in those places. So like work with a recruiter who's worked in the States and lived in the States. Work with someone who's lived that life in Europe. Because for me, like here in Canada, like it sounds so silly, but for us, it was a massive deal for me. In Canada, after you play, you go home. You go to the change room, your coach yells at you or congratulates you and you leave. Well, in Italy, after you play, you shower. And for me, getting undressed in front of all these women was, for me, I was like, what's going on here? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, I found it so weird. And I was like, I'm not shy. Like, I'm definitely an extrovert. But in those moments, I was so shocked on just that. And when I interview people now, like Canadians that are living in Europe and like the life, like eating a huge lunch, sleeping, nothing's open in towns, then you go and play, and then you eat a small dinner. Like that's not like it. That's not like here. So I think like little things like that, I wish I had someone to help me, but those experiences like taught me about life and appreciate like that culture and my culture. And as much as I'm a Canadian Italian, being an Italian is much different, and I had to adapt to their culture pretty quickly, because like I would wait outside while they were showering because I didn't want to do it. And they would like say things like in Italian, like she's dirty, you can't let her on the plane or the bus. But like they didn't understand because of the language barrier, like this isn't normal for us, right? So
yeah,
I think small things like that definitely were things I want to give back, like be able to tell people. But yeah, it was a huge difference in culture, but amazing experience. I mean, there was no distractions of social media. If we had a bad game, nothing was really written about you, and all like the negative things that come from social media now is just get on and play. And I mean, I lived across the street from the water, so it's like get up, play, do like I always do these quotes of online school, because I wasn't really doing high school as much. I was mostly just playing like calcetto, which is like futsal, and then going swimming, coming back, eating massive lunch, sleeping, playing, eating dinner, and then calling back home and then doing it all again. And I loved it. I mean, it was an amazing opportunity to get at 14 to just go by yourself, like and I see people now who have opportunities that will their parents allow them to do that and like go on those trips. But for my family to send me on that trip alone and be able to do that experience is huge, and it made me gain independence at a very young age. And yeah, it was surreal.
It shapes you as a person, right? It really, like, that resilience you build up from, some of the experiences you talk about, it probably makes you the extrovert that you are today. I think it's fair to say. And to do that is, again, something that's really brave, and it's definitely commendable, and it's not easy. To some degree I can relate, moving to Canada for university, but I think what you did is, even more brave at that age as well. That's a young age. It's one thing to go as, like, an 18-year-old that's kind of matured, but to go as a 14-year-old when you're going through all those basic mature things as well, and so many changes in your life at that sort of age, but then to also deal with all those extra things, I think that's very commendable. Just something I want to ask about, because you mentioned it very briefly before we go back onto the timeline kind of view. You talked about social media and kind of the damage it can do, and there's been a lot in the headlines at the moment about the negative outcomes of social media. Players, especially in the Premier League at the moment, it's mostly on racial abuse, but even sexist abuse. But I mean, how do you think we can stop it? Because we did a post, I don't know if you saw it, maybe like a bit less than a week ago, when it came out about some of the abuse some of the players were getting, saying that there's no point to keep just investigating it. It's all good investigating it after. We need to start looking at preventative measures, not just investigating it after the fact. That's not going to solve the problem. So, I mean, do you think you can see a way to try and stop this from happening? Because people feel too comfortable hiding behind the screen, saying what they want, forgetting that just because they're big icons you see on TV, these are normal people that have feelings.
And I love I I look at the Chelsea manager on the women's side getting the job, or being in talks of AFC Wimbledon, and I just went into, like, I think Bleacher Report or someone had posted like the article, and I just read the comments, and I literally like got through the first four, and they were all so sexist. Then there was like maybe one or two good ones, and like I think Kirby has said it right. She went on Twitter to say you have to hold these people accountable. Like, why don't we upload our licenses or our passport so that way you're held accountable for this? Like, you should be able, in order to have a social media account, be held accountable and be able to show your ID and do that kind of verification process, so that way when they are investigating these comments, it actually happens. Like, I can't imagine like Rashford, after everything he's done so good in the community and to feed so many kids, what he's dealing with. Like, I can't imagine for someone who's doing so many good things, and so many teams are like calling him out and congratulating him and trying to help him on this path. For what I read on some of his posts, like, I'm scared to read stuff. Like, I'm scared to like open Twitter and like read after a game, like United Southampton, the comments for some of the Southampton players, like the death threats and stuff that they were getting. Like, it's so hard to read on social media because it happens. Like, it happens to me. Like, I have a really good following on Instagram, and it happens to me daily. Like, I do Instagram lives every day, and people sign in and say crazy things in there, or like send me messages, or like post about me on Twitter. So like, I'm even dealing with it. And I can only imagine, and mine's like one or two, but imagine like 10,000, 20,000 people like doing this to you. I can't even imagine how that would feel.
And for anyone else going through it, how do you advise coping with that? Because you've come so far, and we've got so much more to talk about in terms of your journey. And it's important not to let these people bring you down. And it's clear that you don't let them do that. But how would you say, if you had to give some advice to people, how would you say you cope with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and I don't like playing this card, but it's obviously so clear being in football, is being a female in this sport is you have to have tough skin. So I think that helped me, and I learned that lesson pretty young, like from the comments and like becoming a coach. Like, if I still get comments like, "Oh, you get paid? Like, that's a gig? Like, that's your full-time job? Like, are you doing it for free, or are you getting paid?" Like, I get that comment all the time. But I think for me, I always say like I'm one of the best coaches in Canada, and I truly believe that. And it's more confidence. People will see it as cocky, and I say that comment all the time, and then someone will go at me on social media after I say that. But it's confidence, and I try to bring that out in my players, and like have them have that confidence, and see me stand up to a referee or another coach. Like I've been called like whiny female coach, and I've stuck up for myself, or parents have said that I'm too hard on the players because I'm a female, but if a male's doing it, it's fine. So I just stick up in front of my players how I feel, and I express my opinions. So now, like, I'm doing this new thing where if I get one of these comments, I'll just screenshot it and post it online, so people can see that I'm going through it, and if they are as well, that it's okay to talk about it, because it's never going to stop.
You doing that is definitely not negative, and it's something that can bring out it can provide a lot of people with positive feelings. So yeah, no, that's definitely important that you provide that sort of attitude to your followers and to other people that are watching you, for sure.
Amen.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's we just started a group chat with like we were trying to get like 100 female coaches in Canada, and I think the list is like near 150 right now on WhatsApp, to just try and more empower each other. I've been part of so many group chats and stuff where female coaches talk about like just picking up cones or like bib washing, like not having rules. So we're not trying to start these groups to like talk about this side. It's more to raise awareness of what a female coach or a female player would do in this scenario, and try and help each other through it. And we need more female coaches, and you're seeing that across so many sports. Like the NFL, I think there's like 4 or 5 female coaches and referees within the staff, which is huge. I mean, it's never been happened before, and you see now female managers in football going and working on the men's side, and vice versa. So yeah, it's going to take a while, especially female coaches in male football, and female coaches in any men's sport. But I think we'll get there. And the social media, I hope social media companies like Twitter, Facebook start holding people accountable by making them provide ID in order to have one of their platforms.
Yeah, I think they need to start taking some of the blame, because they're the ones who create the platform that make it possible. So whilst I understand they're not responsible for what people are saying on it, you create that atmosphere where they are able to do that. And I think you have to take on some of the responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Like if a kid misbehaves, the parents, even though the parents have nothing to do with it, the parents have to take some of the blame. And it's a different situation, but it's still the same thing. But no, I think those were great points that you made.
Yeah, like there's algorithms on, like, if you post about COVID-19 on Instagram, it'll say like, oh, you post about COVID, and they have the facts button. Like there should be an algorithm. I'm not a computer genius. I don't know how to code, but there should be algorithms if they're writing certain words or certain things that gets flagged or something. I don't know, but hopefully someone who works for Twitter and does algorithms or Facebook listening to this and can bring this up to the head bosses.
Yeah, also shout out Becky Hammond, because NBA, taking over for a game, but coming close to becoming an NBA head coach. So shout out her as well, doing amazing in the NBA. Yovan?
Yeah, I think on this note, I think it's time for the first half of the No Name football game.
Oh, here we go.
We'll get right into it.
Love the sound of that.
Let's start it up.
Oh, I do not like the sound of that, boys.
It's going to be Coach Maria versus Big Dan. So
do you want me to explain it quickly? Because I did quite.
Yeah, sure.
I did quite a good job last time, so I'm going to do this. Okay, so again, I think you have a rough gist of how it works. So this is how it works. So you'll go up against Dan. So your goalkeeper, imagine that 4-3-3 formation. So your goalkeeper will start with the ball, and what's going to happen is Dan's defending, right? So he has a choice of where he wants to press. He can press your right back, your left back, or your centre backs. We just group them together as centre backs. So always 3 options. And so he's going to type something to Yovan where he wants to go, and then you can just say it out loud. And then based on, so if he presses your left back, but you go to your right back, for example, then he's pressed wrong and the ball keeps moving forward. Then we go, okay, right back has it. Do you want to go, straight down? Do you want to go into the midfield, or do you want to switch the ball to the left midfield? And again, same thing. And then at some point, if Dan guesses correctly where you go, there's a opportunity for an interception. Now, to be able to keep the ball, you have to answer a question correctly, and you keep the ball. We keep moving forward. If you answer it incorrectly, Dan wins the ball, and now Dan's on the attack from the place he wins the ball back. And so interceptions, either way. So if Dan has the ball and you guess correctly, a chance for you to intercept by answering a question correctly. And then the other time is goal scoring opportunities as well. So, and you always answer the questions, but it can work either way. So if Dan has a goal scoring opportunity, You answer the question. If it's correct, he misses. If you answer incorrectly, he scores. That's essentially how it works.
All right.
And yeah, and we got some
Awesome.
questions ready. If I'm sure we'll get to some questions.
You'll figure it
okay,
out
awesome.
if there's.
Yeah, you'll figure out. I have to say though, so No Name Football Game, Dan. So this is going to air before the other episode where Dan had his debut as a as the Team
True.
TFF, and I mean, I think the only worse debut I've seen than Dan's debut is was that Southampton kid that got sent off the other week after 2-0 after 2 minutes. Sorry. 2 minutes into your debut. That's the only debut I've seen that's worse than Dan's debut for TFF. It was absolutely shambles.
I don't want to hear it, bro. I don't want to hear it.
Definitely tune in for that episode, which is coming out the week after this. So
Okay.
yeah,
This is really your
Let's
debut.
get
This is your
cracking.
debut. Then you have a
So,
chance.
yeah,
to-
you get
come
a new
on.
chance. You get a
Figure it
second
out.
chance at a debut.
Just
Come on,
intro
Dan.
it. It's a debut. Intro it is a debut. Just say it's
There
my
it
first
is,
game.
Dan.
Come
Okay,
on,
here we
son.
go.
We believe in you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Maria, your goalkeeper has the ball. So Dan, do you want to just quickly type to Jovan where you want to go?
Yes. Yes.
Yep, that would
Alright,
help if you
Dan.
start typing, big man.
That would.
Let's see how the
So my
poker
goalkeeper, yeah?
face.
Yep. So
That's
Jovan's
very good
basically
first.
the commentator. So he's your kind of
Yeah.
FIFA
I
commentator.
saw
We're
I saw
off.
this, and are you doing it in your Canadian voice, or are you going in your
Oh.
British accent here? I don't know. I
have to
heard
go with a
both.
British accent.
His British
I do
accent's
both. I
special.
do both because I can't like continue it through the whole thing. But
Can you
a
do
little
wait,
bit
wait,
of both. A little bit of both.
Because Maria's here. Can you do your Raptors voice quickly, please?
What do you want to say?
Just do-
Goal scored, but
No, just do ladies and gentlemen. Just do
your Toronto Raptors.
That's good. They might need
Yeah,
someone.
if the coach-
I heard the Blue Jays guy left, so maybe you could do the Blue Jays.
Oh, that'd be huge.
You know what? I would, but they'd have to pay me double because that sport for me is
Yeah, I know.
shocking. So
But yeah, let's get cracking. So I
Let's
assume
do it.
Dan sent in his answer. Is that correct?
Yeah. I have,
let me
yeah.
just make sure he has. Okay.
Okay.
So he's
So Maria, where are we going
Okay.
first?
Okay, well, I'm gonna test Dan out and see how risky he is. So I'm playing in the center back,
Straight down the middle.
straight down
easy
the
enough
middle.
goalkeeper plays it through centre backs. No problem there as Dan decides to press the right back.
Shocking. Okay, let's
we'll go
keep going.
again,
So
Dan,
Dan,
you can,
again. We
Midfielder, yeah.
Yeah, midfielder.
Okay.
Yep, that midfielders come off the defense, mate. There we go.
Yeah. I got it. I got
Next
it. I got
line.
it.
Lovely.
There we go.
Right,
There we
Maria,
go.
where are we going?
I'm pinging it to the left on the wing.
Out wide to the left.
There we go. Absolute shamble defending as the ball is now with the left midfielder. And it looks now dangerous as Coach Maria is coming up now with the ball.
Lovely. Okay, where are we
No
going? Are we
problem.
going straight down? Are we going into the target man? Are we switching the play?
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting excited here.
It's not look okay. There we go.
Okay, we're ready. Where are we going?
Isn't this the most competitive? Like I'm like in it. Like I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like this is competitive.
You're almost
I feel
there.
like I'm
You're
playing.
almost
Let's
there.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Got,
I'm
like
in. I'm
floaty
in.
there. I'm staying left side. We're just playing right in, straight ball down the left, and yeah, we're gonna stay left side.
Oh, Dan.
The best teams make it look simple, and the ball now
Yeah.
is with the left winger, and we will have a first scoring chance of the night. Dan, absolute shambles, mate. Just want to throw
Horrible,
that
mate.
in. So let's get through the first scoring chance. Questions coming up,
We
Morgan.
need
Okay.
to sub him out. Okay, here's your first question. So you get it right, you score. You get it wrong, you miss. Here we go.
Okay.
Your first question is, where is the Canadian women's team ranked in the world? Is it A, 4th, B, 9th, or C, 15th?
Ooh, I know they dropped, so I'm gonna say I know they dropped. They were 4th, but I'm gonna go B 9th.
1-0 is the score. Absolutely brilliant. A massive goal that puts Coach Mary up 1-0 right away. No problems.
Sorry, Dan.
Wow,
Dan.
easy.
Nice. I'll recover. I'll get over it.
I don't think we've
Well,
ever seen someone make it
I
look
just
so
wanna see-
easy,
that's a-
Jovan.
No, that's never happened. It's never happened.
There
where
was
it's
no
like correct.
interceptions, bro.
No
Yeah.
interception, no problems. Like not even a miss. Like a clinical
This could be-
striker. That's
Do we have the second 9-0 of the week here? Who knows?
This is looking
This
like
This is
it.
the fastest goal scored in the podcast history.
Oh,
I think it is,
yeah.
literally. I'm almost certain
Not only
it
is that a record for the fastest goal, I don't think we've ever had someone go all the way down like no problems, like and scored. I don't. Jovan,
can't
have we
think of
had? I don't
anyone.
think. Yeah, I
Fox,
don't think.
Fox Sports reports the fastest goal scored on TFF ever.
Oh dear, this is not a good look
Wow,
for
we
me.
go.
that's shocking. Okay,
Bingo.
well
Very dead.
now you're on the defense. Now you're on the defense. So
Yeah.
Dan, your
Okay.
goalkeeper has the ball. So Dan's just
Okay.
going to type where he wants to go. Now, Maria, let's see what your defensive tactics are like. We've seen
Yeah,
you're very
let's
good on
see.
offense, but let's see what you've got
I'm
on
not
Oh,
even
man.
confident with my answers anymore. Right, I've
Liverpool
got it.
like the. We're waiting. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Okay, so Maria, where are we going?
I'm gonna press the center back down the middle.
Dan is looking to respond right away as he's played it to his left back. And his left back will have the
Okay.
ball. So now let's see where we're going from here.
Sweet.
Okay, I'm
Maria,
gonna
where are we going?
I'm gonna stay centrally and get into center midfield.
Safe to say the managers will have some talks, more so on the defensive side of the game, as the ball is switched over to the right midfielder.
Ooh.
And looks like he
Ooh.
wants to respond.
Wow. Okay.
Could we have an immediate response here?
Okay, Maria, come on. Let's stop him here. Where are we going?
Okay. I feel I'm gonna say he's gonna stay down that right side and keep it. He's gonna play just like I did to try and get my goal. So I'm gonna press his right side because he switched it now.
Looks like Dan's playing a game of ping pong as he's going to ping it right to the left wing. Left
Wow.
wing, another scoring chance now.
yes.
So a question coming up. So if you answer obviously correct, then it remains 1-0. No problems. But if not, then we got an immediate equalizer. And I think Dan has responded quite well since the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, he really, yeah. This is better. This is better, Dan.
It was like
Okay.
ping pong on the screen here. Holy.
I know.
That's
The
all.
ball's going to
That's
be
all.
flapping
The
around.
graphics guy's
I
going to
know.
be going nuts.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that one game. That's that one old game where you go like. hit
Oh,
it
with
back-
on the
back
iPhone.
and
Yeah,
front.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic. Right. So here's your question to try and deny Dan of the first goal in his TFF career. Here we go. So, Canadian star Jonathan David signed for Lille this past summer for $35 million. But what club did he sign from? Is it A, Gent? Is it B, Club de Bruges? Or is it C, PSV Eindhoven? Now, I've got to say, Maria, when I asked this question, I saw a bit of fright in your face, a bit of shock. How confident are we feeling here?
I don't know. I got excited because I love, I mean, obviously anything Canadian soccer I get excited about. But then I saw Dan's face and I'm like, oh man, he knows. So it
No,
might be
you're
the second
answering. You're
fastest goal.
answering.
Oh,
Well,
I'm at.
and then-
Yeah. So you answer all the questions, determine what he does.
Yeah.
I do know it though. I do know it just for the record.
I'm going A.
You're going A, Gent. Okay.
The ball is kicked and it will go off the crossbar and out for a
Wow.
goal kick.
Denied.
So that was right.
Sorry,
It was
Dan.
Ghent. Of course, it was
Fair
Ghent.
play, that was a good
And,
answer.
yeah.
Lovely. We're
Before
coming close to the end of the
Dan-
half. I think we have time for one more attack before we get
Oh,
back into
cool.
it. One more attack of last attack of the half. So let's go. Goalkeeper has the ball. Are we good, Dan?
My answer's in.
Nice.
Yeah, my answer's in.
Maria,
Ooh.
where are we starting the attack?
We're playing to the right side.
Mm.
Goodness gracious. And the ball will go to the right back. No problem. Man City like playing at the back as they come in. And the right back has the ball.
Easy stuff, Dan.
All right,
got
over
open.
again.
Nice. Okay, Maria, where are we going now? We're going for ping pong.
As much as I wanted to play ping pong, we're playing in the center midfield.
To the delight of Dan as he smiles as his defensive structure worked out. So we have a chance for an interception in the
Dan.
middle of the pitch.
Oh,
Question
should have a
time.
robbery here.
Question
Question
time.
time. Here we go. Question. Okay, I like this one. Okay. I feel like you should be confident about this one, but here we go. What's the furthest stage TFC have reached in the CONCACAF Champions League? Is it A, the quarterfinals? Is it B, the semifinals? Or is it C, the finals?
Where did they go? I think they went semifinals. So is that B?
B, semifinals. Jovan.
So just before we answer the question, when you say semifinals, do you know what year? Now that has nothing to do with whether you get the ball or not. Do you remember do you remember like when that was?
It was with Jovinko, so I think it was with Jovinko. When did he leave? 2017, 2018 is where I'm going with when it was.
So just for a background, when Morgan asked me this question, I also said semifinals, and I was thinking back to when they were playing against, I think they were playing Santos Laguna or something like that, some team from Mexico back in the day. However, they did make the finals that year, and they were one game away against Chivas Guadalajara. So an interception here as Dan will look to equalize the game here. Dan, ball is with your central midfielder.
Wow, could be a little counter attack here. Okay. Maria.
Then, all right. So he's got so many options here, but I think he's trying to go down the middle. So I'm gonna stay true and press my center back in there.
And unfortunately, to the delight of Dan as well, Dan will have a scoring opportunity, the second of the match, as they have been knocking on the door straight from when they conceded. The left winger has a chance to score now.
Wow.
Question time.
Okay, question time.
Last action of the half.
Last action of the half. Oh, now okay. So, question, chance for Dan to score. Maria's been pretty solid so far. How are we going to do here? So, question, who has the most appearances for the Canadian men's soccer team? Is it A, Scott Arfield? Is it B, Jonathan de Guzman? Or is it C, Julian de Guzman?
I can't. Oh man.
What are you thinking?
What was A again?
Scott Arfield.
Watch it be Scott Arfield. The de Guzman brothers. I mean, I know. What number was Julian? C.
Julian was C. Jonathan was B.
Let's say Julian.
An amazing acrobatic save from the goalkeeper. That one was close, and it will remain 1-0 going to the half. Dan with two glorious opportunities. Yeah. Second one, the better of the two. Unfortunately for him, it's 1-0.
Great job. Impressive. Hey. Very good job.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, you know, there's not a lot of Canada soccer like heroes and big players yet, but they're up there, the Guzman. So
for sure. Maria, what are you saying to your girls, your boys at halftime?
That our opponent likes to just ping the ball and play like kick and run. So we're gonna sit a little bit back more now.
I like that. Don't get too closed in. Stay spaced out.
Yeah.
Nice.
We like that. That's our halftime talk.
Lovely. Okay. Yovam?
Yeah. So no, I mean, I think we've kind of touched a little bit on, obviously we realize why you're into coaching and all that, but let's talk about kind of the brand that you're building. I mean, for me, it looks like you're a young coach, and you've had experiences that are invaluable to any coach and really unique. Not everyone has the opportunity to do that. And I think the fact that you have, gives you a lot of skills that you can bring over and solve a lot of problems in Canada. So talk about the brand you built, CoachMariaSoccer. So what's your goals there? When did you start it? And what's your kind of ambition with that?
Yeah, so I got let go from a club, which is, I never thought it would happen to me, but it did. And I think it was the best moment for me. And it happened due to politics. And I wanted to be able to make like a side business and be able to put more money in my pocket because I wanted to buy a house and move out of my mom's basement. So I started this and asked this club for permission, and they were all for it. So I created an Instagram, it's CoachMariaSoccer, and I just started this pilot project of training. And we started with 20 players. We charged them next to nothing, and we just did it all summer. And this was in 2018. So we started it, and from 20 players, the phone kept ringing and ringing. And I had so many players that I had recruited for or knew of coaches. So we had a really good staff, and it just kind of started to grow. And people come and say, "Oh, you're a female coach." Like I have a female player, and even their male players, because I had a good following and people that I knew in the community. So I started it, like I said, with 20 players. And right away, Nike had approached me, and now I'm in Puma, and now we're sponsored by Puma. But at first, Nike had approached me and said, "Hey, we want to partner with you. We want to sponsor you. Will you take this for a full academy?" And like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, I had no plans to start an academy and do it. And I still don't, to start an academy where players play with me full time. I want to stay in that supplementary training because it's so watered down. I don't want to add to the problem here in Canada. But I had the opportunity, and I had an opportunity to be a Nike soccer club and academy, and I kind of said no to it. I just wanted to obviously get the brand and have the kids kind of in that swag. And it kind of started to snowball from there. We started to gain a lot of traction and get players, and then we started this project called Project 3 Elite, which is for female players right now. We will eventually build a men's side, but it's basically to help players go on 3 pathways: Canadian scholarships, American, or go play in Europe. And in order to do that, I've played in all 3. So that's why it was so important to me, and just try and help players go to that next level. Also in that, what we tried to do is create something where we could give female players the opportunity to stay in soccer, because the rate of females dropping out is so massive. So we had players who were thinking of leaving the sport come to us and say, "Hey, I'm leaving, but can I just see what this is about?" Or I'm thinking of quitting. I don't like my club coach. They've said so many mean things to me. Can I try this? And it was just supplementary. So I was working for this club and doing this on the side, and it grew. Like, I mean, we had tryouts and we had 80 plus players, like girls, all that wanted to do this supplementary. And we took care of their tutoring. So like getting them help through high school, making sure their grades were good, doing like scholarships and being able to like, do like opportunities and showcase them. So we ended up picking a team, and we started to like build like if you've ever seen a volcano erupt, that's what happened. And it just took off, and the phone kept ringing, the emails, like we had so many people. So I don't know what ended up happening with the club. I still don't know what ended up happening, why they let me go. I don't think I'll ever know. But it grew, and it grew big, and the following started to grow big, and I was let go. So I said, wow, like I don't have this revenue, and I was doing this as more of a side gig. So I basically just threw everything in this. At that moment, I decided, should I rebrand and call it something else? I always joke about this, but we always joke, like I could have called it Dolphin FC, and would people still come, or would they be fine with coming to like Coach Maria Soccer? So I kept it under my name, which obviously came with so many people telling me that you shouldn't have done that and saying all kinds of things. But we kept it under there, and we grew from 20 kids. We're now in 4 locations. In the summer, we're in 8. And I don't know the number of how many kids, but we're over 200 players that do this supplementary. And our Project 3 Elite program is grown. I mean, this is the 2021, so 2003 girls is going to be our biggest class. And of course, COVID hit, and we don't have as many kids graduated from it. But yeah, we've had an amazing class come through, and yeah, it's been great to build this network. Not one player's left the sport, and I get calls and texts all the time. Like I had a player sign today, and I fight back the tears all the time because I'm emotional, because it's such a huge opportunity for them. But all the girls that we have stayed in sport. We've had girls thinking of leaving, and we'll like ask them to come out and like film or just come and just hang out. And most of them decide to come back. But we've been close to losing a couple due to their club system, but never to our program. And it's been amazing. It's been 2.5 years. My right hand, who's actually doing my Zoom call right now, like I'm peeking in on them doing the Zoom training right now. She's like my right hand, and she has a huge influence because she's played in 2 countries as well. So we're just kind of taking this by storm, and players play at their club and then come to us supplementary, and it's growing. I mean, we have so many female coaches on staff, and I can't see myself doing anything else. I think I'm very vocal when I speak about the problems here in Canada and in Ontario around coaching, and it probably has ruined my chances to get a job within Canada Soccer or Ontario Soccer. But I'm willing to speak about it and be one of those people, and not just kind of hide behind the screen and not talk about it, because we do have huge issues, and we're missing out on hundreds and thousands of players on the men's and women's side.
Yeah, it's
Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you're doing. And I think something that stands out to me is, I mean, you call it a supplementary piece just to soccer, like, but not only is it just soccer, you're doing so much more. Like, you're inspiring people, you're helping people with, you know, you said you sometimes just go out with them, so social, like academic, so much more. But you need that. I think not enough people recognize that you need that sometimes to be able to succeed in soccer. You need that extra support for whatever it may be to be able to succeed in soccer. Sometimes just helping them with soccer isn't enough. I think the fact that you're taking that on, no one asked you to. Do you know what I mean? And it's very clear that even though it's amazing what you're doing in terms of, you know, being able to, you know, build this brand and then have that to, you know, live off and have a house and everything like that, it's very clear that you're doing it for so much more than that. That's just kind of the bonus. That's what you need to survive, right? No one wants to live outside. So, you know, and I think it's so inspirational, and it's clear that you care about it more than anything. And it's impressive how much kind of passion you've put into it, for sure.
Yeah, I like even like check their social medias. Like they know, like if they're a part of this program, they have to like not adhere to rules, but make sure like we're following them on social media. Like I know if you've blocked me, but they and they're obviously really excited that they'll listen to this when it's posted. So they'll know, like I'll screenshot them and be like, you have to take this down, or say like you have to delete this comment. So like I'll sit there at night and like go on this. Now not, before I was doing this, now I like have a schedule when I go on social media, so I'm not on it all day. But yeah, I always check their stuff as well, just to make sure that they're that athlete that when a coach is looking at them and recruiting them, or looking at their page, they're looking at the right person, and there's not dumb comments, because we've all been teenagers. There, you know, I wasn't the best teenager. Like I was so immature and so bad. I was like the class clown. Like I think I got voted like most likely to order a pizza to class in high school. So I was that person. So if recruiting was happening and social media was a big thing when I was going through it, I wouldn't have been recruited. So I try to tell my story and inspire kids to really focus and make their image as positive as possible. But again, I know they're teenagers. Like I've been in their spot as well, and you guys all have as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the question that we kind of discussed with Matt Lockwood, as I said, that episode's coming out next week. It's a great watch. You're gonna love it, Maria. I know for sure. I mean, a conversation we're having with him is, you know, do kind of clubs, coaches alike, do they need to do more to help nurture these young players, because they get so much money thrown at them? And he had quite an interesting idea to maybe like put, you know, 8% of their salary into some sort of trust account that they can't access. And I thought that was a sick idea. But more just generally, just in terms of life advice, all these things you're talking about, social media, that kind of thing. Do you think clubs, because at the end of it, football's a business, right? So, and that's the argument to why they don't. But do you think clubs should be doing more to support these young players?
Yeah, like we support our players. Most of our staff who work with our 6 to 10, maybe even 12-year-olds are our players. So we give them, either we knock their fee off or we put extra money in their pocket. Like sometimes they're paying me and then I'm giving them a payment. But I think it's like, it's a good feeling that they know they're giving, like they're getting the cash or a check or whatever. So I think for us, we put money in their pocket to try and give back and have them coach. And I think to keep players, because again, we have to think about it too. And I loved his answer, like put it in a trust fund. We have to think like football ends and it ends very early. Like you're lucky. I mean, unless you're Gigi Buffon, to play until he's probably going to be 60 and still playing and still be the god. Most players 35, 36, it's over for them. So what happens next? So I think we have to, first of all, like, you know, what I tell my players, like education and getting a degree is so important. As much as you want to play professionally, try and go that school route. But I think he said it right, like put in a trust fund or inspire them to get it in sort of in sport in some way, maybe become a referee, get them coaching badges, maybe teach them about the admin side of it, the social media side of it. But put, you know, sport has given us, that's why we're on this, everything. So I think we have to be able to help them out for what's next after football. And someone needs to come in and speak about it, as much as people don't want to think about it in the moment. And I certainly wasn't. I think it's important to have that message for those players.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, just for a little bit of background, what really sticks out. And it's funny when you do these things, you say something that I reflect on, and that's all I'm thinking about. But two things. So you mentioned you want to stick into the supplemental area, which I think is absolutely, I mean, it looks like you built something that is able to support you. And I know, for instance, soccer in Canada, there's a few roles in terms of the club route that will allow you to support yourself, which is maybe a little bit of the problem. But I know, a lot of us that go into coaching or whatever, we don't do it to be millionaires. But I think that's amazing in terms of the fact that, you had the opportunity to start your own academy, as a lot of people do, in the facts, okay, now, yeah, I can live that amazing lifestyle financially, but we have way too many clubs, academies, circuses, whatever they call it, that happen. And I mean, it's because of, I think, there's no clear vision of what we are as a country. And there's no, I mean, we look at it in terms of, I mean, Canada soccer, don't get me wrong, they have improved a little bit in the way they do things. And I have done the courses in UEFA, I've done the courses here. And I mean, it's if you close your eyes and for a bit and just listen to the accent, it could be the same people doing it, but that doesn't really matter. The point is they do a good job. But what do you think is missing still in terms of maybe look at the coach development, coach education, not only education, not only the 5 days that you spend doing a license, but what about the sport after that? The internships that don't happen, the ongoing continuous education, or basically just indicators. If you have success, let's say at the maybe even on the Ontario League One level or the OPDL level or the OASL or whatever it is, that you get recognition for that and can move forward in the chain. Because it seems like you could do a great job at XFC and just stay there and keep dealing with the same level you are, but surely there should be a development piece for the coaches as well. So what do you think is missing, or what would you implement if you were in that role in the soccer?
Yeah, like I think when I went to England, like I got so much knowledge, and then I left, and England went through that England DNA and that rebranding phase. And it was sent out, like obviously I'm still part of the FA association, and I'm a part of all those memberships. And when that was sent out, it was sent down to everybody who had taken a course through the FA. And it was all about the England DNA, from players at 6 all the way through to a professional player. Then I went to the States, and same thing, online system. You have to obviously do a course like a USSF D all the way to up to the A. And I was on my C there in the States. Same thing, the model, the DNA, how we play. This is our style. This is what we should be training players. In Canada here, I have no idea what we should be training our players on, what every player should learn to be like the Canadian player, what they look for at the top level. I couldn't tell you. I mean, we've went through so many managers and coaching changes, which happens, but there's never been, okay, these are the 10 things we want a striker to have, or a center back or a keeper, to say, if you do these things and you practice these things, this is what makes a Canadian DNA footballer. We don't have that. England has that. The States has that. I know Italy has that. So many countries have that. But what's our DNA when it comes to an Alphonso Davies? I mean, like you look at him because he's like the superstar in Canada on the men's side, or Christine Sinclair. If you take those two players, how do we make more of those players? And they obviously have traits that coaches see. So why don't we get those traits, and why can't we implement that to our players? And I think if Canada Soccer were to do that and send out a list of, hey, this is what we want in a player, people would start training that. Because our goal as coaches, as much as it's a business as well, and youth soccer is a business, it's about getting that player to the next, even if it's one player that you ever get, because football and playing professionally is such a small margin. But how can we get those players to that level? We need DNA, and we need to know what a Canadian player looks like and is. And I can tell you right now, I don't know if you ask this to Canadian coach and Canadian coaches who are listening to this, I hope they ask themselves and they kind of reflect on what's our DNA, because do they know it? Maybe it's been said, but it's not anywhere on social media. And the England posted it, and they said, this is what it takes to become an English footballer. They didn't care about other countries reading and be like, oh, wow, if we do this, then we can beat England. They did it to say, hey, to supplementary coaches or coaches, train your players like this, so that way we can filter players through. And we don't have that here in Canada, and we need that.
What kind of I want to talk about a little bit is that one thing that Canada soccer has to have credit for is the fact that we have one of the best, I didn't know it was 9th in the world now, but we have one of the best women's national teams in the world. Now, my opinion, and again, I'm no expert in this field, is that we are, given the makeup of youth soccer, we're very, very close to that 50-50. We see both male and female in the game, especially at the youth ages. Surely, I think what's helping us get to that top level is the fact that we have prioritized female soccer before a lot of big powerhouses in Europe, Asia. You're seeing also they're doing a really good job, maybe South America as well. What do you think about that? And do you think maybe throughout the years, if we don't have our own league, if we don't fix up all the problems that are obviously evident here, we might drop further down the 9th in the future?
Yeah, and countries are just getting better and investing in it more. I mean, as much as I'm happy Bev's in charge, we lost Rianne Wilkinson in it, who's a Canadian born player who played for us because of that, and there was a huge article written about it. And losing her and not having her in the women's side is definitely, like, for Canadian coach on the female side, I think we were all a little gutted about that. And there's not many female coaches, and like I said, we're part of that group chat, so we're gutted about that. So I think we need to, and like, they're now paying for the CPL guys to get their coaching license, and no Canadian female coaches to get their coaching license yet. So we're missing that now. I don't know if female coaches on the women's side want to be coaches, but I'm sure out of a group of 25 in camp, I'm sure 1 or 2 of them want to go into the coaching. So I think we're missing out on that, and I think we need more players that have represented us and our badge have to get in and become coaches within that as well. So I do worry about what's going to be happening. Again, professional leagues, like, people have opinions on having a professional league. Why we don't have a NWSL franchise and have homegrown players playing in that, and we would be able to sell that out. Like, Canada plays the US here, and it sells out at BMO, and you have 40,000 fans watching, Canada versus States. You could have that in the NWSL, and you have the facilities here to do that. Why we don't have that, I'm not sure. I know Nick Bontes is now the president, and I know you said it verbally that it's going to happen, but you've said it. If we don't have a league or something soon, we're in trouble here, because we lose so many players over to Europe, which I wouldn't want a player not to play in Europe, but to play here, especially in Toronto. I mean, the Canadian national women's team could be all from Toronto. Like, the area is so good. So I think we need a team here, and a person, like, if I could play again and be playing for the NWSL franchise in Toronto and know that I grew up 20 minutes outside of the city, it would be huge. And I think a lot of women would come back and play in that for the passion, because as much as football, I mean, we're not, obviously female footballers are not making like Messi's league contract I think he's making like $5.30 per minute or something. Female players are never going to see that money, but they're doing it out of passion and to put some money in their pocket. But most of them for the passion side, because they're not getting nearly paid as a male player, and hopefully that changes, but as of right now it isn't. So we need a league, and we need it soon. Like, there's no excuses not to have a league. Like, it can't be that hard to put it in. Just have a couple meetings, put a team together, and get an investor. Like, I wish I had the money to invest, and I would love to own that team. But yeah, I'm hoping it happens.
For sure. And like, let's take back to 2007 when TFC came, obviously, to be that first team in the MLS. Obviously, it's something that we needed, but we kind of learned the lesson now. Don't get me wrong. I understand that money doesn't go on trees, but to your point there that you made right at the end is we don't seem to have enough. We've had this conversation with a CPL guy, AFC Curtis, as well. Canadian investors need to invest in sports and in soccer. I mean, soccer is the most played sport amongst youth in Canada. It's the World Cup is coming here. It's about time we do something. But the point is the MLS has never been a league for Canadians. And, while we have 3 teams in the MLS, it's great. If a Canadian is playing in Seattle, he's counted as a international player when your league is supposed to be Canada and United States. It shows that they don't really care about the big goal, and it's to develop players for the United States national team or the Canadian national team. So, obviously, first step would be to have a team, whether it's Toronto. I think that would be a smart decision, but surely, we can maybe make that decision just to maybe prioritize that we need to make our league for Canadians, for Canadian females. And, obviously there's going to be a cost to that, but why not now? I get the whole situation, but surely that's got to be in the mind of guys like David Klenikin, Nick Bontis, our neighbor from Hamilton here. That has to be the next step, right?
And it's being talked about, and there's a page for NWSL Toronto, NWSL Vancouver. Like there's starting to be talked about, like there's posts, and they're getting Nick Bontis' ear. When he was announced president, they were asking him the question like about female soccer. And as much as people say, well, we have League One, unless you're going to pay the League One women to play and give them a living wage, then it's semi-professional. So I'm hoping it does happen, and it has to, like, as much as people will go against it and say that we don't need it yet and focus on 2026. I fear if we do focus on 2026 and put all the eggs in the men's basket, it's needed for the men's because it's been so neglected for so long. It needs to be equal, and we need to hire more people and not let people go. Like, Ontario soccer through COVID has lost like almost all their staff, and no one could stay employed there and working there. And it's sad because who's answering these emails, who's focusing on like these strategy meetings, like who's doing that work? Because I know COVID has put us all in this situation, but I would volunteer to be on a committee. Like I would do it, and I would give my volunteer time to do that, but it's not being talked about. And I do fear for what's going to happen next.
Sure.
One thing you talked about is salaries that women never going to make what the men make, and it's an interesting debate because the argument is that it's based on the revenue of the league. NBA is the best example I've seen. You look at LeBron James. I honestly can't remember the woman's name, but she's very similar accomplishments to LeBron James, very similar. But LeBron James on 40 million a year, she's on about 400K a year, right? Still big money, but when you compare them, it's crazy. But the argument is that they're comparable based on what the NBA and the WNBA generates. And I think that's the argument across sports. Football the same. When you look at what the Premier League versus the FAWSL makes it, that's where it comes in. So do you think it's a fair argument, or do you think there should be more given to women, given that they are playing the same sport, doing the same things?
I don't think we'll ever get to where the men's is, and never in this lifetime I'm in. I'm hoping for the next lifetime it happens, but I don't think in this lifetime we'll see it. I hope we come close to it, but it'll never be like, no one will ever be on a Messi contract as a female player, as much as I would love to see that. And I would celebrate that day. But I think you're right. But I think getting views, like, as much as I love darts or as much as I love bowling, why are these sports being shown on TV channels here in Canada when there's a game on in the Women's Premier League or the NWSL? So as much as I like that, I don't see how many bowling fans are sitting down and watching bowling compared to how many women would be sitting down watching not even soccer, but the WNBA or the LPGA tour for golf, like something like that. We have a brand new hockey league, and hockey's, everybody, I think you're born and you can skate here in Canada. So the same. So like, why is it not being played compared to bowling and darts? So I think we need more TV time, and there's no way big TV don't have budgets to film and get commentators out to female sports.
Good point.
Yeah, it's a really good argument for sure. So I think it's time with that for the second half for Coach Maria to
look at
finally
Morgan
put
putting his hands together. He's so excited.
the dagger.
I love
Okay,
it, mate.
so-
It's going well so far. Okay, here we go. The second half of the no-name football game is beginning, and it is Maria's
Okay.
goalkeeper with the ball. Maria, where are we going?
We're going to the left back.
Left back.
And safe
Oh,
to
no,
say,
okay.
Big Dan has been doing his homework. They've been watching the video. He's had a call with Jose Mourinho about his analysis, and he has pressed the left back.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Interception.
Growing into the game. Growing into the
Thank you,
game.
Morgan. Thank you.
Lovely. Team TFF. Okay, here
So
we go.
the third
Immediate
scoring chance for
interception,
Dan.
Yeah. No,
A
immediate
goal
interception
score. Oh yes,
opportunity.
interception. Oh yes, of course.
God,
Of course.
commentators getting a bit muddled. What are you
Shocking.
drinking? What are you drinking there?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So you mentioned Alphonso Davies. Canadian wonder kid Alphonso Davies signed with Bayern Munich at the age of 17 for an MLS record fee. How much was it? Was it A, $22 million? Was it B, $44 million? Or was it C, $66 million? What are we thinking, Maria?
So I knew it was like one of those numbers, like 88, like 60. Like I knew it was a double, and I know he's worth 80 something now.
Oh, wow,
Was it? It's definitely wasn't 60. I know it's 22 or 44, right? You said.
Yep.
Let's go. I either way, it's 50-50. So I'm gonna go 22.
Oh,
22.
The best players in football are good decision makers, and Coach Maria is a good decision maker, so she will retain possession. It is 22.
Nice.
It sure is, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But now I guess you can kind of get it, because he's obviously worth 80 mil now. So you think,
I mean, he is just
for 22,
exploded.
but it makes sense.
Absolutely incredible
Yeah.
player. War player.
Okay,
Yeah.
Big Dan, we're waiting for your
Yes.
Diego Simeone like defensive structure.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay, Maria, where are we going?
So it's at my left back, correct? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're pulling a Dan and we're pinging that thing all the way to the right.
Of course you are.
Right way.
Of course you
we're
are.
pinging it.
Ping pong.
I should have read it.
In football, if you take risks, they can pay off, and they have in this case. The ball is now with the right midfielder. A great
Lovely.
ping to the right side of the pitch.
Okay.
We move on. Right midfielder has the ball. Okay.
Okay, Maria,
Okay.
where are we going?
Ooh, I'm going right to the center. Going to the center.
Into the target man.
Into the 9.
Last ditch defending. Dan gets his big centre backs to deal with the situation. A massive chance now for an interception as Dan looks to clear it away. Interception time. Question
Here
time.
we go. Question time. Wow. Here we go. So, which stadium in the CPL has the largest capacity? I'm going to give you 4 options here. Is it A, IG Field in Winnipeg? Is it B, Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton? Is it C, TD Place Stadium in Ottawa? Or is it D, Atco Field in Calgary?
Biggest stadium that fits the most
Capacity,
fans.
yeah.
Capacity. Ooh, TD Place. I'm trying to think of it. I don't think as big as the Ticats in Hamilton for Forge. And then there, I haven't been. I've been to those 2, and they're on Ontario. So I'm just going off of what I've been to, and I think like I'm gonna like be so upset because I love like knowing like the biggest stadium in America and stuff, and you would think I would have known this, but I'm gonna just go with the Ticats. So Hamilton.
Tim Hortons Field.
Tim Hortons. Oh, sorry, yeah, Tim Hortons.
A double. Tim Hortons Field. Unfortunately, in this case, Tim Hortons is usually, always the right answer for me at least. However, in this case, it's not. And the answer is IG Field in Winnipeg, where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers team play as well. So Dan has a chance now to regain the possession and move on. So Dan, your center backs have the ball.
I'm gonna press his right. So I'm gonna go to the left side because he played it to his right. So I'm gonna press the left. Yeah, the left side, his right winger.
And unfortunately, Coach Maria has read it all wrong, and the ball is with the left midfielder.
Oh,
And Dan might have the last chance here to knot it up in this game.
hey Maria, what are we thinking?
He's pinging it. He has to be. He has to
Switch
be.
of play.
How's
Switch
he-
of play.
He switch of play.
And this is going to be one of the best endings that we've seen, because we've had chance after chance after chance, but finally Dan's going to get his final chance. He plays it right into the striker, and it will be finished with the head. We'll see if it goes in or not. Last question of the night in this game.
Okay.
Okay.
Where did the Canadian women's football team finish in the 2012 Olympics in London, England?
Oof.
Was it? I actually went to a game of Wembley women's soccer. But anyway,
Oh, I know. Is
is
it?
it A, second, B, fourth, C, third?
So the 2012 game, and I do so much, like I send so many videos to my kids. 2012 Canada versus United States was the best game ever, and I got a chance to interview Erin McLeod on that, because the most controversial call, and I try not to talk to her about that because obviously gutted. So when they lost that game and then they beat France and scored to win bronze, so end up third, was a huge moment for us. And that was Christine Sinclair, and now every player here in Canada has a Christine Sinclair jersey. So it's one of those, in Family Feud, when you don't even have to end the question, you already know it halfway through. Third.
Yeah.
Bronze.
Bingo. And with that,
Sorry,
the
Dad,
3
my
points.
keeper.
That's it. Finish the style. I'll say. She definitely knew the answer there. And it's a 1-0 victory.
Unfortunate.
Dan.
Unfortunate. Well, both. I think, you know what, you'll see when you watch the episode in a couple of weeks. The Dan's original debut was shocking. It made for an exciting game of football, I must tell you. It was probably the most exciting. Oh, definitely.
That was an improvement.
I think today's been the best performance we've had by a player on the show in a no-name football game. But I think that other game was the most exciting game, because you'll see it was crazy. But no, congratulations on the win. Unlucky, I think it was just converting in the final third that you could have been 2 or 3-0. Looked like you were running away with it.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those games where you have all the shots. Like, you definitely possession-wise probably had the most, and everything is just you couldn't beat the keeper.
You couldn't finish.
Exactly.
Couldn't finish.
Early goal, and you held on.
Yeah, the earliest goal. So at least I'll go down in record for the earliest goal on this.
Exactly. We got to start getting a record book for this game. I think.
Yeah.
Let's end with something that's always exciting, and I think obviously it's exciting to think about the future. And you said it yourself, and the fact that you are very confident. I think confidence is huge, especially to having a coach that a lot of players are looking at you to. If you're not confident, then really who's going to be confident, right? So they want a very strong leader. That's what you are. What's the future look like for you? Obviously, you have your hands full right now, but you seem like at the age obviously of 31, you're definitely not done yet. That's for sure. What's the goal? What's the ambition? And where will we see you in 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I think it's just getting our players on a stage. I mean, we haven't been able to showcase our players yet as much as we wanted. We've done a little bit, but nothing really yet. So I'm just waiting to tour. We're bringing 4 teams down to England. We were supposed to go in July, and we're hopeful we can still go. So do those and be able, because when I met people, when I went back to this trip in January, I was like showing them pictures and videos of all these kids that I work with and say, you need to see them, you need to see them, you need to see them. And finally, like, okay, Maria, fine, bring them here. Just stop talking about it, because I was all over them every day, like showing them videos. So I want to be able to showcase Canadian players, and I know all these players I work with won't be on the Canadian stage. I have some players that if they're not on the Canadian stage, I don't know. And then I'll know we're obviously doing something wrong. We just have some incredible players in our program. But I want to be able to showcase all the players we work with here in Canada, the United States, and overseas. So just touring with these kids and just helping them get where they've wanted to go. as many connections as I have across the world. I don't want to just put them in a place where maybe they're not comfortable with. I want them to have the expression and have their school or their country in mind of where they want to play football, and just see them reach that. So that's kind of where my next 5-10 years is just producing more footballers and getting them to that stage, and just helping them along the journey. So yeah, it's great, and that's where you'll see me all over. I just want to travel with these groups, and just be able to showcase their talents and let them show off a bit.
Inspirational.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing episode. Coach Maria, we wish you all the best, and I hope
Thank you,
we
guys.
hope to get you back on as well. Maybe we'll have you on when you're the head coach of the women's national team. I can see that
There
happening.
you go.
And hopefully by then we'll have a few more subscribers. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Maria, I echo, all three of us when I say we really appreciate you. As we said, we're still starting off. We're not quite ground zero, but we're not far above that. The elevator's jammed a bit, on the first or second level. So, to reach out, you're such a huge profile, such a big brand. You've come a long way, and we reach out to a lot of people. But the way you responded, so quickly with such enthusiasm, highlights who you are as a person. And we all appreciate you just being so open to coming on the podcast. We've had so much fun. I feel like you've had a fair amount of fun today, or tonight even. It's been a lot of fun. We really appreciate it, and yeah, we'd love to get you on again. Definitely.
Yeah, and thank you also for having this platform. I think it's huge, and we need more people speaking about the game. And I like this too, speaking about the Canadian game as well as the European game. But I think it's huge for Canadians, especially to listen and learn from. And thank you for doing this and being a part of it. And yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm just gonna wait for my 3 points T-shirt in the mail. That's the competitive side me, and Dan, you gotta sign it, so I'll wait for that.
Oh, 100%.
There you go. Love it. A leader, inspirational, Mama Maria, as some people call her. Fascinating. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Much appreciate it.
Anyway, this has been another episode of TFF. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button if you want more amazing guests like this. Follow us at TFF Media. And yeah, keep tuning in. More episodes coming. We got a busy February, and then we're going to keep going, keep pushing on. So yeah, we thank you for your support. And that's about wraps it up. So thank you.
Awesome.
And take care.
Ciao.